Ooh. Yeah, it's just in the corner. So,
Yo, why is someone's phone going?
that's mine.
Why are you recording it?
Because sometimes I have to record lessons to submit to my... Do you remember Mr. Wells that came in a couple weeks ago? I have to record lessons for him sometimes and submit them so that he can watch them. So. Alright, Landy, could you take a seat, please? Welcome back, citizens of Racklandia. Welcome back. You guys online, I'm going to present this to you. But first, we're going to listen to a little bit of our national anthem to start class today. So, hopefully... Oh, is it not coming through? Oh, there it goes. Yeah, you guys, can you close the door, Ryan?
Gangnam Style.
You should open up the... Yeah, open up the door. And open the door up. Do it. I want to hear the
Hey,
reaction.
Alyssa, are you on your phone? Are you sure? Could you maybe give me your phone if you got it out? Or just put it away in your backpack, please? If I see it on again, I'll take it. Yeah, Jack, what's up?
Why did you open the door?
I have a question.
To see the
Why
reaction.
does Hornbauer have more money than us?
I will tell you that in a second. So,
They
yeah,
doing it.
so, no, they did it right because you could make up whatever number you wanted, right?
Oh,
So,
so we were
did I not tell you guys that?
No.
Oh,
No.
That's my bad. I thought you guys knew,
So
but
we could have just done 0, 0, 0.
yeah, I can show you.
Septillion.
Snacks would have made one.
Let me see if I can find.
$200.
So you guys might not be able to see this. Here, I'll put it on the dot
Yes.
camera. Actually, I'll show you.
600,000.
I'll show you how many zeros Vlad put on his sticky note. It is absolutely ridiculous.
He probably did like the entire sticky note.
It is. So, oh, come on. Right here, I gotta slide it up a little bit. He did NASCAR. They produced cars, and all of those are zeros. There's like 3 or 4 more zeros way down here in the corner. I had no idea what that number was. So,
Look it up.
his number, I didn't even add his number into their total GDP. I gave. How long did that take him? Not sure. I think he just spammed a bunch of zeros. But I had to look it up because I had no idea what that number was. But if you look, let's see how many zeros there are. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36,
Jesus.
39, what is that, 42, 45, yep, 48. So there's 48 zeros. I had to look that up in a table. It's a quintessilion, and that's not even, I didn't even add that into 4th hours total, you know.
Well, yeah, because they probably all just went 0, 0, 0.
A lot of them did a ton of zeros, right?
Did we redo it? Yeah. I think almost not. We did because it's gone higher up.
Next time,
We didn't
next time.
know.
So,
Dang it.
I hate to break it to you guys got outproduced by 4th hour, but this is just separated on
Most
technically,
productive citizen.
technically, we're all citizens of Racklandia, right? So technically, this is part of your GDP too, but it was just easier to calculate them separate. This is just a comparison.
No, we should make their GDP 1.
$1
Yeah, make it one.
dollar.
Yeah, $1.
What? So who can remind me what GDP is,
Good.
or what the letters stand for? Bella.
A gross domestic production.
Close. Bella.
I don't know.
It's gross domestic product, right? And it means it's so gross is like, remember, it's the total sum of the total value of all the goods and services produced in a country in a year. So you guys as companies, overall, through like all combined, your companies had goods and services that were valued at about $1.2 billion. So for each of you guys, you got about $77.7 million to your name. Not bad. That's still a pretty high GDP per capita. What's per capita mean? Yeah, exactly. Per person. So the total value of goods and services produced in 3rd hour per capita was $77.7 million.
If they have 6
Trillion. Technically, if
I'm going to read off some of the companies for you guys so you guys can hear what the companies were, what they made. We had Ryan's Towing Company. They tow cars. And they, their total value of their goods and services produced was about $150,000 in a year in 2020. Super Sounds, they create audio for games, apps, etc., and they sell audio equipment. They had about $15,000 of value in 2020. Who was that? Who was the sound? Lakin, nice. Sunshine, they produce flowers and seeds, and their value was about $3 million. Frost, which is an acronym, F-R-O-S-T. What's the acronym stand for?
I don't know.
Don't know? Was it you, McKenna?
Yeah.
You produce snow cones, about $2 million of value. We had Jack. Jack founded the Paris Company.
Paris Company.
The Paris Company, which is a restaurant. So their product, what they produce, is food, and they made about $88 million. So pretty nice restaurant.
I would amount of money because I'm like, I want to make not too much money because I'm not greedy.
Yeah, it's probably really high-end food, right?
I'm probably greedy. I'm not that greedy.
Apollos, bows, arrows, targets. And they made, I believe that is $100 billion in a year. Or $100 million. Who was Apollos? Aiden Davis. Nice. I think that you might have been the highest one. I think it was 100 million.
Yeah.
I think you had about like $1 billion just to your own self. So I think Tess.
99999.
Yeah, like 999 million. Rookies, they were trading cards, $27,000. Who was that? Who was Rookies? Noah.
I'm ashamed that I didn't go for a high price.
Elmo's Snacks, sunflower seeds, candy, cold drinks, and chips. Who? $100,000. Who was that? Jared. Nice. Yeah. What's up, Jazzy?
What's your name?
Don't say my name, okay?
Okay. Didn't we say yours? Wasn't yours the flowers?
No.
No. Okay. Rockstar, produce everything that goes with the band.
That's what I made.
That's what you did? How much was your company valued at? Or how much did your company make?
I made a little money. Like, I didn't want to be greedy.
Oh, okay. You didn't want to be greedy? Well, that's good.
I'm not greedy.
Who is this? That was Tess. I remember that from yesterday. Shoes and T-shirts were their product. Was Tess's product. And she made $999,999,999.99. I didn't put the 99 cents on there, but would have bumped us up a little bit more, right? Put it on there. People are demanding that I put the 99
Supply
cents
and
on there.
demand.
It was 999 cents. It was 39.
Well, it's actually impossible to do that 999 cents, right? Because that'd be like $9.90 if you had 990.
You have 9/10 of a penny.
Yeah, exactly. Lake State, they produce fresh water. They made $1,000. Who was that?
Least productive citizen.
Oh, it might have been Sophia's. Ben's Box. I assume that was Ben. $700,000. Pretty valuable. Celia, her company's name was A Company Name. They make bread and toasters, and they're making about $200,000 last year.
How did...
Amazon Prime. Landon. Amazon Prime made about 30.
Yeah, I meant to put 300.
Oh, 300 million. About 30 million, but he meant to put. Okay, Celia's changed the name of her company from A Company Name to Toaster Pog. So.
Toaster pod.
Owen, Two Lanes Custom Truck Dealer. They make custom trucks, $20 million in 2020. Jared, Bella, Ryan. Thank you guys. Bill's and Jill's Coffee Bean Shop. Coffee beans, they made $29,000. Who's that? Alyssa. Nice.
I wasn't here yesterday, so...
Oh. Delaney, that's Hannah Productions. They make cheese, $1 million in 2020. And the last one, the one and only healthcare store. They sell bandages, medicine, cream medicine. They help the sick and wounded. Yeah, this one is probably Sophia's. $500,000.
I just realized a nun was quick for a bank.
Thanks.
Yeah.
To get health care.
Okay, keep going. Wait,
So we-
how did the people at home make a sticky note?
I wrote it for them because I just asked them. I had them send it in the chat. So, hey, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
The least productive
Bella.
citizen.
Why are you recording?
So that I can put it on my Mr. Wells, who comes in and watches sometimes in class. Sometimes I record lessons for him and send them into him. I've recorded lessons before. You guys just didn't notice.
Yeah,
So.
I noticed.
Yep. Say hi, everybody. So, what I'm gonna have you guys do is get your notebooks out and turn to this page. We're gonna fill out this chart. We did the one on the left, but we did not do the thing on the right. Yep, I needed bread and toasters. I've been to your store too, Celia. And could you guys please turn your cameras on for me? Really, please.
Teacher said think outside the box.
Thank you, Delaney. Yep, yours is not working. Thank you, Owen, for reminding me. And Celia, please, por favor. Yes. When you guys open up to this page in your notebook, draw that chart on the right-hand side. Draw a bar up on top, 3 beneath it, 4 wide ones, 3 more, and 1 at the bottom.
What?
Yep.
Where is this page?
I can't figure out how to
Right here.
I will never be able to do all of that.
I'm not
I know what.
Well, why must we draw all these?
Thank you, Celia.
It took me a while to find it too. No, just imagine we make that much money and yet we live in shacks.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, we probably wouldn't, right? Because we have such a high GDP. It generally indicates we're developed, right?
We
Is
know
that?
how to make money, but we do not know how to make like living. Like a nice
If we
house.
weren't developed, if we were a developing or a not developed country, we would not have a GDP quite that high.
What if our landing was just full of, like, there was no land, it was just all water?
Well, then we would probably. Your towing company might not do very well.
No, it's a towing boat.
Oh, like tugboat company?
Yeah, we can use
Okay.
a tugboat company.
So,
Tugboat.
in that top square, I know you guys might not be done. I'll give you guys a second or two more.
Small square. More longer thing.
Is there not going to be a least productive citizen?
What page is it on
It's
again?
the least
It is
productive
on.
citizen, aka because I went to do
The
it.
one with supply and demand.
Oh, okay.
And you'll write. Yep. So we're just gonna draw Owen. Oh, that's not the presentation that I want. That is the presentation from Language Arts. We are on this page right here, and you'll draw that. So.
Somebody made me a yacht copy. There was somebody making yacht copy.
They don't have to be perfect, guys. Just as long as you've got it.
I was probably the least productive citizen because I didn't make one. So the balance of $0. A poor person getting to the pool. Yo, Vlad, can I have a couple mil?
I did a great job. It's a yacht.
Yo, can someone still spam a couple thousand?
So good.
Vlad, can I eat Bob a trillion?
Then everybody should write down in that top square. Every society has resources.
I see a family back.
Hmm?
I see a family backyard.
Yeah. And you guys will notice that there's 3 boxes underneath every society has resources. What are we going to guess that we're going to write in there? Yep, Noah's got it. Because there's 3 types of resources, right? Who can tell me what one of the 3 types of resources is? Aiden.
Natural resource?
Yes, natural resource. Or natural resources. And we can write in parentheses another word that people use to talk about natural resources is land. What's another kind of resource, Landon? Capital resources, exactly. And what is a capital resource, Landon? What was that? It's not something man-made, Ryan.
It's things that you use to make other things.
Yeah, exactly. Things, goods that you might use or resources that you might use to make something else, right? So like a shovel would be a capital resource because you use it to dig a hole. Exactly. Aiden Davis, do you have the 3rd type of resource?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Human resource.
Exactly. Human resources.
And mine's DNA. Mine's DNA.
Human DNA is not a human resource, though. Human resources are resources that are found in people. Even though DNA is found in people, an easier word, a word that might help you guys understand a little bit better what a human resource is, in parentheses underneath it, labor. So it's like the labor that people have. If a country has a lot of human resources, they've got a lot of people that they can use to do labor.
Yeah, slave work.
Not necessarily slave work.
Well, it is human resources.
It would be a human resource, yeah. But like people like doctors, people like nurses, all those things, those people are providing labor, right? They're providing those human resources.
Yes, let's use slaves again.
We're gonna draw
This captain.
3 arrows here. Down. That's okay if you don't. As long as you know it flows from one thing to the other. What do we use resources for? Yeah, to make things, right?
Make your life easier.
Yeah, to make our lives easier, to satisfy our wants and needs. We also use them. Resources are used to produce goods. Bless you. What is a good?
Anything that you touch and hold or buy.
Yep, anything that you can buy that you can hold or touch. And services. And what's a service?
Something that provides. Wait, can you read the whole sentence over?
Resources are used to produce goods and services. What do we know, though, about resources? What are resources super common? Can you find them all over the place? Or is there something else that we know about them that we learned about in Kid Economics? It's a word that starts with S. Zach?
Scarce.
Yeah, resources are scarce, right? They're limited. So we'll write underneath that but, and we'll underline that, very important, dot, dot, dot. Resources are limited, and we can put a bubble around that, a circle, a square, whatever you'd like. I like to do the little bubble just so it looks kind of a little bit nicer. Resources are limited, and human wants are unlimited. Our needs aren't necessarily unlimited, right? Because we don't need everything, but everybody wants a lot of things, right? Not if every one of you guys could pick an amount of money that you could get, just like how much you wanted, you guys would all probably pick like infinite money, right?
I'll go for $1 trillion.
$1. Yeah, 1 trillion.
1 trillion.
I think
One concern. I would never have to worry about money.
All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Yes, Celia.
Someone says 1 million, I should 10 billion.
Yeah, money so you can buy gaming PC, right? But a lot of people, you know, they'll get a lot of money, they'll want a yacht. Oh, next thing you know, boom, they want 2 yachts. They want 2 helicopters, those 3 helicopters. Because our wants are unlimited. We're always going to want something. We might not need it, Jared. We might not need it, but we'll want it, right? And because we know that resources are limited and human wants are unlimited, that's okay, it's still up there. Yes, exactly. Scarcity, because those items are scarce, scarcity forces society to make dot dot dot
Wait, scarcity forces us to make?
forces society to make
Oh no, I don't have more glasses.
and what are we forced to make because of scarcity? Because there's not enough of everything that we want, because time is limited, money is limited, all these different things we have to make. Lakin.
Choices?
Yes, exactly. Choices. Like what Professor Oliver had to make, you know? He's only awake 4 hours a day, so he's got to make choices with what he does with his time awake.
Not sleep for.
That could be a choice that he would make, right? So it forces us to make choices. That is not how you, whoops, C-H-O-I-C-E-S. I know that looks a little bit weird. It's supposed to be O-I. For some reason I wrote the I before the O the first time.
Okay, I wrote 3 boxes, so I put choices.
And these choices, this is going to be, this bottom part is going to be something new for us. Maybe not entirely new, because we learned about it a little bit in the Ed Puzzle the other day. But we have to make choices as a society. We have to make choices to answer 3 questions.
I'll get that later.
And this is really with society, guys. This isn't necessarily individual choices. This is like how we as a society, how we as United States citizens, or how we as Americans have decided to answer these 3 questions leads to a certain kind of thing. The 3 questions are, what?
Yes.
What goods and services?
Oh, I don't have that.
You could write it next to the box or outside of the box, because I don't even have quite enough space. It's what goods and services, and then that last word, I'll scribble it out and write it underneath the box, will be produced. What goods and services are going to be produced? I'll zoom it in a little bit. You guys at home, you're able to see it okay? Following along? Okay. Yes, Jack. Are you just raising your hand to say that you...
No, it's just, my thing is like not so it keeps like turning on and off. I don't know why.
Okay. Oh. So that's the first question. The second question is, how are those goods and services going to be produced? Are those going to be produced by companies? Are they going to be produced by individuals? How will the goods and services be produced? And that third question is who will consume those goods and services? Who will consume the goods and services? And then that final box at the bottom.
We don't have a next box.
Yeah, we do.
I do.
If you don't, write it off to the side. Write it off to the side. See, I ran out of space, so I just put a sticky note at the bottom of it, because even I ran out of space when I was drawing it. But it's okay, even. Here. Put a box right over here, and just draw an arrow from those to that box.
Are we gonna write a box?
Nope, it's 2 words, so that's it. So, Jazzy, same thing for you. Just put a box over to the side of the arrow going towards it. Depending on how society answers these 3 questions here, what goods and services will be produced, how will the goods and services be produced, and who will consume the goods and services, the answers to those questions are going to determine economic those are going to lead to the different kinds of economic systems that we learned about in that ed puzzle. Yeah, once again, this is disregard that. Economic, yeah, I spelled that right. It's going to lead to those economic systems. Who can tell me what those 3 kinds of economic systems, if you can remember from that ed puzzle, were called? Jared, what's one of them?
Traditional.
Yep, traditional was one of them. Do we remember another one? Yes, Jack.
Market?
Yes, market. And then the third one, Aiden?
Just so I take a guess at the blue, like habits, like no.
No, not habits. Good guess though. Tess.
Is it government? Because I don't have anything.
It had to do with government.
The government ran it.
Yeah, the government makes a lot of decisions. It's called a command economy.
Oh, there.
I noticed a lot of you guys on the ed puzzle wrote demand economy, like starting with a, like you wrote like demand, like that, but it's actually
Oh. Yeah, because I wasn't here.
A lot of people
command.
see it. I wrote command.
Yeah, it was. I listened to it just to see if it did kind of sound like I said demand, so I understood why some of you guys said that. Does everybody have this written down? All right. So, like I said, we've got those 3 economic questions that we need to answer as a society, and depending on how we answer them, depending on how we as a society determine we're going to make these decisions, it leads to what kind of economic system we have. And this is kind of simplified down. First, we got to decide what to produce. Here. We've got to decide what to produce, how to produce it, and for whom or for who to produce. Who's getting those goods? In a command economy, the government decides a lot of these questions, right? They decide how they're going to produce something, what companies, what factories are going to make something, what jobs people do, what to produce. They decide how much of something to produce, what products people need, and then for whom to produce. Usually they're producing it for the people of the country. In a traditional economy, for the most part, it's individual people deciding, I'm going to produce food for my family. I'm going to produce it by growing it on a farm, and it's just going to be for me and my family. So that's how, in a traditional economy, those are the answers to those questions. in a market economy, people decide, right? The way that it's defined in the textbook, I believe, is that they use the forces, they said they use the forces of supply and demand to determine how to answer these three questions. What does that mean if they use the forces of supply and demand? What do we think that means?
As in like Star Wars.
No, no. Yeah, they use the force, right? Aiden Davis.
Basically what they want to grow. If they want more of one thing than the other.
Yeah, they kind of gauge or they kind of measure how much of something people might want, and the companies naturally they decide how much to produce to try to meet that, so that prices stay as low as they can. So they use those forces of supply and demand. They measure demand and they measure supply, and kind of get them to try to meet in the middle, so that the price always stays the same. It doesn't always work out, but that's what their goal is, right? That's what their aim is.
PS5s on post.
We're going to open up our notebooks. Well, we've already got them open up. We're going to flip a couple of pages to our economic systems. Our economic systems notes.
That's 7 pages. That's more than a couple.
Once we're all there, Jared, could you turn around, please?
Okay.
On the traditional economy, after we've read or after we listen to the ad puzzle, the blank, that's okay, Aiden. You'll get all the information right now when we fill this out. The blank people make. What, Ben? Yep. The choices that people make are determined by the what? What do they usually use to make decisions, make choices in a traditional economy? Tess.
Was it like the force of supply and demand?
Not in a traditional economy. That's in a market economy. In a traditional economy,
A single person.
they're determined by the environment that they live in, right? It's determined by the environment around them.
Is that why most of the settlers went like down south with like crops?
Yeah, right? So like you're talking about early American settlers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the choices that like early American settlers made on maybe what to grow, guys, the choices on maybe what to grow that settlers made depended on where in the United States they were living. If they were in the South, they probably were going to grow tobacco or cotton, things like that, because they grow a lot better in the South. Economic blank are centered on the family, tribe, or ethnic group. Economic blank. This one's a little bit harder. Economic activities, right? They're centered on the family, tribe, or ethnic group. So that's really what they do, maybe as a job, what they do to, make money to provide for themselves. Those economic activities are centered on the family, tribe, or ethnic group. They're really centered around the people who are around them. And blank are handed out. This is the word from the review that I think it was Tess got it from Jeff Bezos maybe. But do you have a guess for what the blank is, Tess?
Tradition?
It's not traditions, but a lot of times traditions are passed down, because traditions also, not just tradition also affects a lot of choices, not just environment. But this is resources. Or never mind, I thought it was going to say inheritance. It's resources. So those resources, those land, that capital, mostly it's land, mostly it's natural resources in a traditional economy, are handed out based on, and this is the word that I was thinking of, inheritance. So if your parents had a lot of land, or your family had a lot of land, your family owned a farm, when your parents die, or when your parents get too old to work on the farm or do something, it's passed down to you. and then you continue working on the farm, working on whatever. I heard somebody say something. Was it you, Jared? Did you say tradition?
Huh? Oh no, I was reading this.
Oh, okay. Well, this next one is actually traditions. That's why I thought maybe you were answering this one. Traditions and customs determine the economic decisions, right?
Mine doesn't look like that.
It doesn't? Oh, yours might not look exactly like it, but it is the same sheet, I believe. Bless you. So a lot of times the decisions that you make are going to be based on what you learned from your parents, what you learned from your grandparents, right? All these different things, all this knowledge is passed down through the generations. Farming, hunting and gathering are done in the same way as the generations before. Again, this is another aspect, another point that just shows that in traditional economies, it's all really passed down. The ideas, the way of life, the economic choices that we make, it's all passed down from your ancestors. And a really big characteristic is, Ben? What was that? No, never mind. Did you say machinery? Or were you trying to say something for this last one? Or did you have a question? Okay. Machinery is very close to the word we're looking for this last one. There's little or no use of technology, right? We talked a little bit about developing countries or not developed countries. We talked about that a couple days ago. One of the big things is that there's little or no use of technology. A lot of developing or not developed countries have traditional economies, which are primarily focused on farming. And there's not a whole lot of innovation in a traditional economy either. Not a whole lot changes, or it takes a very long time to do so. In a command economy...
I can't see anything.
Oh, you can't see it? If you want, Tess, you could move up to the front right table. I don't know if that would bring you much closer, but... Consumers have little, if any, what? What do consumers have little, if any, in a command market? Or command system? Zach?
Choices.
Right. Consumers, so people like you and me, don't have a lot of choices in the marketplace. Countries that have command economies are countries like North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela. Sometimes it's communism is a form of a command economy, right? The government decides what people make, what jobs people have, how much they get paid, which makes it so that consumers, individuals, don't have very many choices when we go to buy something or really in the market. Factories are solely concerned in a command economy, they're solely concerned with a word called quotas. A quota, yeah, it's like the government will set a quota. They'll say, you have to make this much. Hey Jared, could you move to the table to your right, please? The government will say, you have to make this many, like, shirts by the end of the year. And so factories are only concerned with meeting that quota. They're not going to make any more past that because there's no reason to. They're not going to make any more money. There's no competition. Zach. There's no competition, right? There's no competing between companies because the government decides what everybody's prices are, how much everybody makes. And this one, the government or other central economic authority makes, what economic decisions do they make? How many? Noah? Yeah, all of them. They make all of the economic decisions. They tell people how much they get paid. They tell people what they should buy. They tell people how much of something they should buy. They tell the factories how much of something to produce. And the government sets all the prices on goods and services, right? They say, oop, you're going to pay this much for a good, you're going to pay this much for a service. Everybody in our country is going to pay $1 for a gallon of milk, no matter where you're buying it, no matter how much it costs to make it.
Really? That's actually pretty true.
That'd be nice.
Or for services, it's like, okay, you know, you have somebody come and paint your house. Every single person, regardless of how good of a job they do at painting your house, you're going to pay them $200. If they do a really good job. These are just made up numbers, by the way, guys. This isn't necessarily what people do. Individuals, right, those individual consumers have little, if any, influence. They don't have any effect over economic activities. Because you're just one person, are you really going to be able to change or decide prices when the government is the one that's telling you what to do?
Let's just start right here.
Yeah?
But he did it with other people.
And the purpose of a business, right? People would start businesses to provide goods and services to people, not to make a profit. That's a huge difference. Here in the United States, people start businesses to make money, right? It's all about money. They want to make as much money as they can. In a command economy, in a command system, a command economic system, the business is just there to give people what they need to survive, right? They're there to give them food, they give them water, produce what they need. And the government guides people into certain jobs. They say, oh, you know, there's kind of a shortage of doctors in here. Racklandia is having a shortage of doctors. Jared, you're going to be a doctor. Bella, you're going to be a doctor. I'm not saying you have to be, but yeah, you're going to be doctors.
No way. I'm gonna be.
Aiden, I'm deciding that you're going to be a teacher. We need more. Nope, we need more teachers. Boom, you're a teacher.
I am not a teacher. I will choose a track shot. I like that holds up the
No,
stop sign.
you should force him to be the janitor.
Yeah. And it's not, guys, it's not exactly forcing them, it's more guiding them. I mean, at the end of the day, they can't make somebody do a job, but the government might provide incentives or like bonuses for people to go into certain jobs, right? Like I could say, Aiden, you know, you could make $20,000 a year doing the job that you want, or I could pay you $60,000 a year to be a teacher.
I'll do the teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Some people might want to be the teacher to make a little bit more money.
That's triple the amount I'm getting every
And the
year.
government decides the role that everyone is going to play.
Yeah, I'm a one-sided economy.
Yeah? We'll go over this a little bit more tomorrow, guys, but there are benefits, there are advantages and disadvantages to each one of these kind of systems. We're going to try to get some of market filled out. Economic.
Did we finish this?
Yeah, we just finished commands.
Oh, come on.
Do you need me to go back so you can get a
I
couple?
misprayed because I was not paying attention. I couldn't go back.
How about you guys at home? Do you guys have most of it written down?
I have like 2 more.
Okay. It should just be on the next 2 pages. All right. Market economy is this. A market economy, well, the United States actually has this. It's called mix. We didn't talk about that in the Ed puzzle. But a market economy. Economic decisions are made by individuals who compete to make profits based on supply and demand. Another word that people use to describe market economies is capitalism.
Starbucks and like Big B?
Yeah, it would. That's a great example, Ryan. Great example. Yeah, like Starbucks and Big B, right? They're competing against each other to try to make as much profits as they can off of, and those in that scenario, the individuals is Big B and Starbucks, right? They're both trying to get as many people to their stores as possible. They're trying to get as many people to demand their product as they can to make as much money as they can. Ryan.
Also at the bottom it shows what one of the
Oh, yep. Yeah, I see that.
Increases.
A market economy, I said this just a second ago, also known as a capitalist economy. How many of you guys have heard the term capitalist or capitalism?
There's
I
a
heard
game
that.
about it.
Yeah, right.
There's
I heard
a
one
game
that's not
on your
YouTube.
phone about capitalism.
What's it called?
Capitalism? Yeah, it's like
Oh, it's literally called capitalism?
Adventure capitalist.
Oh, it's venture capitalist?
It's
Yeah.
I went to a YouTube video where I just hear it like,
It's so stupid.
Someone
I had one
transformed the
and
land.
I got rid of it.
Test.
There used to be this game that I used to play in school, and it was where you made a lemonade stand,
Mhm.
and you'd have to like survive the days by making money,
Yeah,
and you'd have to like raise and lower prices depending on how much.
depending on the supply and demand.
And sometimes
Right.
like, you didn't have enough supplies to make lemonade, so you could only make a very few lemonade.
So then you might have to charge a little bit more for lemonade. Exactly. Those are the decisions, those kind of decisions. If you ran a lemonade stand, you'd have to set the price to reflect the supply of lemonade that you had, how much you had, and how much people wanted it, right? If nobody wants your lemonade, what are you going to do with the price of your lemonade, probably? Yep. Lower it. Exactly. Individual freedom is valued, and it is important that people are allowed to make their own economic decisions, right? So every one of us in here can walk right across the street to the gas station, buy whatever we want from in there, right? There's a wide selection of products. In capitalism, in a market economy, you can't necessarily buy whatever you want, as long as you can afford it, but you're free to make your own decisions, right? In command economies, sometimes when you go into stores, there's only one choice for like toilet paper, right? You'll walk in and it's, government toilet paper company,
Sherman Ultra.
Yeah, there's only Charmin, but that's the one that the government makes. In a market economy, when you walk into a store in the United States, how many kinds of toilet paper are there?
Millions.
There's a whole aisle practically for just toilet paper because there's such a variety of products and people are allowed to make their own economic decisions, right? We have the freedom to choose what things we buy. So we learned about quotas on the last one. What do we think is the motive for increasing work? The motive for starting a business in a market or a capitalist economy? What was that?
Money.
Money or profits. The goal is to make as much money as you can, right? Get as much money as you can. So it's not necessarily to provide for people, right? You're not starting a store that sells like tents to, give people tents. You're doing it so you can make money.
Yeah, we do not care about.
Yeah, let's donate one.
Because it's a good point, Tess. Sometimes it seems like we don't care about other people. Like companies don't care about other people because their main goal is profits. It's profits to make money, not necessarily to provide for people. That's like a huge difference.
In a communist country, they don't because they have the quotas and all their prices are the same.
Mhm.
Really, they're not they're trying to help people.
Yeah, they're trying to. A lot of times in command economies, the reason why the government takes over and makes those decisions for people is to make sure that everybody gets a fair share, right? Right, Bella? Right, McKenna?
Yes.
Why does the government step in to make decisions for people?
Because the government is the government.
Because the government is trying to make it equal for everybody, so that everybody has those resources, those things that they need, right? Whereas in a market economy, it's more so every man for himself. You know, you make the decisions that are going to provide for you, that are going to provide for your family. That's a big difference. The government does not intervene. Never will the government say, in a market, in a true market economy, never will the government say, you can't do that, or you have to do this. You take your hood off for me, Alyssa, please. So, let's say for instance, like in 2008, when the housing market crashed, I know you guys don't remember that, but that was a big deal. A lot of people lost their jobs. The government stepped in and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give all this money to these banks so they don't go under, because otherwise more people would have lost their jobs, more people would have lost their homes. The government would not do that in a true market economy. They'd say, yes, that's one of the reasons why we're mixed. Because the United States is actually mixed because the government does intervene. The government does say that companies can't do certain things. They say that, have you guys ever heard of a monopoly? I know you've heard of the game Monopoly. What was that, Noah? It's not necessarily that. A monopoly would be if every single gas station in Rockford was owned by the same company. Well, more so if every single gas station in the United States was owned by the same company.
Oh, like how you can get like different properties in Monopoly?
Yeah, in Monopoly, the goal is to own everything, right?
Yeah.
That's what a monopoly is when a monopoly owns all of one thing. So if a company, and the reason why we don't want monopolies, is because if a company owned every single gas station in the United States, what could they do with the price? If there's nowhere else to buy gas, what would they do with the price? They just raise it as high as they want, because people need to get gas, right?
Unless he's
No,
like
Tesla would be like, Tesla would buy out all the gas stations
See?
and turn them into like electric car chargers.
And that right there, Ryan, is one of the reasons, that's one of the characteristics that the United States has that makes it a market economy, is that competition. Chances are, one company wouldn't own every gas station, and even if they did, a company like Tesla would come in. A company like Tesla would come in and bring competition that would help set the price, help lower that price back down, and increase the quality of those products. Excellent point, Ryan. Excellent point.
Tesla owned all the gas stations and made them like electric charging. Then everyone would have to switch to electric cars.
Yeah. So a huge part of that is that competition. Exactly. We'll finish mixed tomorrow and then do a couple of activities.
You get your own charging station. Like, buy yourself a charging station. Would you sell it?
See you, Jack. See you, Celia. We're all set.